Hey family, in this video I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. It's kind of sensitive, but I do hope in sharing this will be helpful for you overcoming any challenge or obstacles you have. Today I want to talk about anxiety. I wasn't born with anxiety from when I was young, but definitely as of last year, I was one that had it. Let me share my screen. All right. This is my little born, my last one. He's totally energetic, very playful, jovial nature, one who likes to have fun and is the life of the party, right? When him and his brother get together, it's a whole bunch of noise, mayhem, gray hair, right? But I've learned to appreciate it, and you'll understand why after this situation. Around last year, January, or between December and January, a lot of individuals were getting RSV. And my son didn't get RSV, but he had a major bacteria that actually encroached upon his lungs. He was coughing a lot. We saw that there was a particular issue, and he wasn't as playful and jovial as in these particular videos here. But what he started to do was cough a lot, started to rest a lot. And when we realized it was an issue, went to the doctor. The doctor did x-rays. They say, hey, it looks like he has a little infection. They give us antibiotics, and the aim was that the antibiotics will handle it. Moving forward, next week we go. There isn't any improvement. Like I said, we did natural remedies, holistic remedies, conventional medicine, the antibiotics, and he seemed to be getting worse. He was losing a lot of weight, and it was bad to the point where he couldn't walk to go use the bathroom anymore. At that point, we took him back to the hospital. Now this is in the span of just a week. By the time we got a call from my Pastor McKenzie, spoke to my wife and told my wife to go with her gut feeling. Right, so we went back to the hospital, went to an emergency room. Emergency room did a diagnostics, and they were like, "Okay, we're looking at the X-rays. His lung looks really bad, to the point where we can't serve him here." So from there, we were transported to a emergency facility. Right, this is all during the time of RSV. Things were critical, but they were able to get us into a children's hospital that can deal particularly with his lungs. This was him in the particular ambulance. So at this point, my wife is in the ambulance. I'm driving the car with my other two little ones, and it's like, okay, this is something I've never experienced before, and I'm starting to particularly get nervous. But I'm like, all right, I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna trust in the law in the situation. I'm trusting the law in the situation. We get to the specialist hospital. It was, I think, a 2 hour drive, 2 hour drive. I can't remember the specifics. And now the doctors are over there. They're moving with haste, but they're not saying anything. When we ask a question, they say, "Hey, we're looking at some stats, and we'll get back to you." We're waiting. Hey, we're looking at the stats. The doctor will speak to you shortly. And while we're there, a doctor finally comes to us and say, "Hey, half of his lungs is infected really, really bad. The other half is 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 infected as well, and we're going to do what we can to kind of remediate this." They gave him huge doses of antibiotics and steroids to kind of fight this infection that's in him. And at that point, I'm like, all right, I'm bugging out, right? I'm starting to wonder what's going to go on with my little man. Worrying, as you can imagine, as a parent would worry. Trying not to think of the worst, right? And one of the things that came to my mind was, Jesus said with the boy that had the demons, when the father asks, "Hey, the other apostles, disciples of yours, couldn't heal him," and he prayed and cast out the demons, and they said, "Hey, how did this occur? How did this happen?" And he says, certain things can only be done through prayer and fasting. And for me, this was a prayer and fasting kind of situation, seeing my son in this particular state. And I was like, all right, Lord, I'm going to refrain. I'm going to petition, because I want you to see that I acknowledge that this is serious. and I will refrain from any sort of luxuries and nourishments to petition on behalf of my son, so that you will hear my sacrifice and prayerfully hear your children. And I will say that for certain individuals that are dealing with particular situations, I highly recommend prayer and fast. As you can tell by my size, the prayer and fast ain't help with the weight loss. Yes, I said, but that wasn't the goal. That wasn't the goal. But sincerely earnest prayer, for those that have prayer groups, or reach out to individuals in the network to particularly pray with them, not individuals to worry, but to pray. And in this case, with my son being in this state, I kept thinking, the Bible passes Romans 12:2, be not conformed to the things of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And what I was seeing in the physical here is my son being grossly sick, looking like the brink of death. Based on how he looked, what his response was like, the fact that doctors were not willing to give an answer, or the answers are very, very short. It's like, okay, I need to conform my mind, because right now I'm about to bug out. And I don't need to bug out. I need to press in and lean on God through this circumstance. And I was like, yo, I literally could not think of anything. I was trying to hit passages in my mind, and I was like, Lord, I'm drawing a blank. Like, I can't, like, if some people say in the last days individuals be in the caves, and hopefully individuals have passages. I was like, I got nothing. I blanked out. And I remember the Spirit saying, all right, well then utilize technology. And in the utilization of technology, I said, okay, I can't think of any passages, but I need some passages. So what I did was I went to the Bible app, right? And in the Bible app, once it loads, I literally hit the search feature on the right top hand side, and I typed in the word anxiety, because I felt it coming up. I was hopeless. I despaired. And when I typed in the word anxiety and clicked on the word Bible, so many passages came on anxiety, as you can see here on your screen. And I just clicked it. As you can see, this one is highlighted. You'll see all of the passages on my Bible for anxiety was particularly highlighted, right? And I encourage you that if you're going through a situation, one is not lean on your own understanding. One is not to cast out the situation, or to, for lack of a better word, not to check out, right? Not to just worry and be in despair, but to literally lean on the promises of God. And if you can't remember, there's a Bible app. You can hit search. You can Google it, right? You can utilize technology to help you combat anything that you're dealing with, any feeling that you're dealing with. And then once you find those words, read it, call it back. Every time my son, I ain't gonna put up an image of him. Every time my son was looking bad, every time I had a little bit of doubt, as soon as I feel it creeping up, I hit it with scripture. All right. And I just repeat it. And some of those are like became my favorite passages that I leaned on. I did still feel like part of it had an out of body experience going through the whole ordeal, but literally calling on God's words helped to take a little bit of the edge off, a little bit of pulling off the brink, And I went from utilizing or being engulfed in my fears to utilizing my fears to be redirected. Whatever I'm afraid about, Lord, I pray, Lord, help me with this, right? Well, help Anne-Marie that's at the hospital at this shift, right? Because where we were at, we had kids, so we both couldn't be there at the same time, and the kids at the same time, so we had to alternate shifts. When I'm there, Lord, be with the doctors, give them wisdom. Lord, help this medication provide relief. Lord, I thank you for my son opening his eyes today, right? Lord, I thank you for helping him to take the medication, or ingest the medication. Dear Lord, I thank you for his fever actually dropping 2 degrees, whatever it was. Or if I'm afraid, Lord, help me to trust you in this process. Go back to the word. All right. Your word says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Every tongue that rises against me, thou shalt condemn. Thus saith those who fear the Lord, which is Isaiah. Right. And I just kept going back and back and back to the scriptures, praying God to help me with what I'm dealing with, thanking him for the little wins, and calling upon scripture to give me victory. And that way I was able to transform my mind by not focusing on the situation, but what God can do. And by day 2, 3, God granted victory. Right, my son, for the first time in like, I'll pull it back up, for the first time in like weeks, right, and it's bad for it just not showing well, but my son was actually finally able to walk. Right, like it was such a miracle. I actually had to record it, even though it's showing up better on my phone than on what you see here. But I was so grateful to see him walk. And the center had a little toy play place. I called Ann. We did a quick FaceTime so she can see, because I had him on that shift. And I would love to say that everything was hunky dory. The doctors told me that it will be a year before his lungs will fully be prepared. He was breathing wrong for a while, and or heavy for a while. But to God be the glory. My man's moving back. Some of those footages you seen were pre sickness, and some of those pictures you see are post. And I was so grateful. But I would like to say that it wasn't like that the issue was overcame. Right, I realized from leaving that hospital, I had to go do an event with Pastor McKenzie. I was blessed to be able to be a part of a ministry series for the youth, and I remember being there shattered. Right, it was literally the week after my son came out the hospital. Once again, he's not 100%. I think we were just finishing off the last set of medicine, and he's in a hotel that's near to where we are. And there's that back and forth, making sure that he's okay, wondering if he's okay. And like I said, I was distraught. And when you're distraught, I'll say get help, right? Not there's the psychological help, but in this case, I was doing work, and it reminded me of the servant who knew that he was in desperate situations, about to lose his job, that went and did deals so that he can be able to have a place and favors he can lean on. During this time, a lot of stuff that I could have did by myself. I like to outsource. I like to work with a team, but I did this a lot more than I would have normally done because I wasn't comfortable or confident in myself. There was a part of confidence that really, really broke. And I didn't realize that with having these anxiety, I don't say attacks, but anxiety sessions, that there are times where I did feel broken, right? And not able to particularly function the way I would have liked to. I still trust in God that he gave me this process, but I wasn't 100% faithful. And I was grateful to know individuals that was there that can work with me to pick up slacks outside of my regular team of individuals that I particularly go to, right? Individuals from Rhode Island, other places. I usually work with my wife, but my wife couldn't work as well. So it was definitely a blessing and very fortunate and that's the little one there, to be able to lean on other individuals to help me get the workload done. And Ecclesiastes says 2 is better than 1, for there should be much reward for their labor. But woe unto him who have not others, for if he falls, he have not no one else to lift him up. Paraphrasing. Last thing I'll say is, so I was feeling broken. I was going through these, anxiety moments, and I was having them a lot frequent, even after this event. And I remember one time my wife was like, because I don't tell her I had anxiety. I'm a man. You understand what I'm saying? Men don't say they got anxiety. I was saying I feel uncomfortable right now. Like give me some space. I feel uncomfortable. And I remember at one point my wife was like, "Yo, why are you having all these uncomfortabilities all of a sudden?" I'm like, "What you mean?" She's like, "Yeah, you always saying you're uncomfortable." And I realized that if we were running late, anything of that sort, I would have these particular anxiety moments, or if there was something to do where I would just normally lean on God and have faith that I'll be able to see it through, I was being uncomfortable. And when she said that, I remember driving and I thought about David, and I'll share. We're going to go to 1 Samuel. All right. I know I paraphrased a lot of scripture. I didn't give you actual quotes. This one is more of a testimony. I'll put the passages in the description just so that you can be able to see them. I went to Samuel first. What came to mind was 1 Samuel 17, right? 1 Samuel 17, you can see it here. And I'll make it a little bit bigger, right? And it says, and David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion. So this is the time where David is going before Saul, asking Saul for permission to fight Goliath. They're like, man, he's a lad. He's been doing this and Goliath been killing from his youth. What did David do? David went towards his history. He said, thy servant has kept the father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and the uncircumcised Philistine shall be one of them, seeing he hath defiled the armies of the living God. David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with thee. And when I remembered that, when God revealed that scripture to me, there was a peace that came over me. David knew that he can defeat what lie ahead of him because he remembered what God did for him in the past. The whole defeating of Goliath wasn't just random thought, right? But he leaned on the past experiences to know that he can defeat, and he, with the Lord's help, can overcome any obstacle before him. And when that snapped in my mind, family, I tell you the truth, I have not had no more anxiety attacks, right? And we're in May, so well over 12 months, right? Because from January maybe to March, April, it was tough. I mean, it was tough after the hospital experience till a couple of weeks, months in. It was tough. But when I read that passage, and when God revealed that passage to me and it came to mind, I had no more issues. So my encouragement to you as a follow-up, one, be not conformed to the things of this world, Romans 12:2, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Utilize technology to be able to type in Bible verses for, right? Anxiety, fear, anger, addiction, whatever it is. Type in those passages. Call on those passages whenever the desire is coming up, right? The second thing is, for certain things that may be a stronghold, prayer and fasting is definitely an option, right? Certain things can be overcome by prayer and fasting. Number 3, for sure, is to look at how God came through for you in the past. And as he came through for you in the past, he will continue to see you through. And at that point, man, if there was a project that came before me, I had no fear or reservation, right? If I'm running late, there were times where I was supposed to make it to a place to pick up something that was crucial or vital before, which I remembered after thinking about it, and then after the anxiety attacks where I was late and I still got into the store and got what I needed, was able to get out, and we were able to either make manufacturing for Ann's business, or I had the gear I needed to go do a project for ministry or whatever client I was working with. I want to call upon you, dear Lord, and family, that he will see you through. Just read his words. Look at the past and how he came through for you. And if it's needed, prayer and fasting. They're all other gamuts of dealing with anxieties. I'm just sharing what has helped for me. There's one crucial thing I will say. This works very well if you believe. If you believe in God, if you believe in his words. If you have doubt, it's only as effective as your belief is in God. And what I will share with you next is, it doesn't have to be this osmosis, random thought of God, but I believe that God is real. I believe that Jesus is the way. And in the next 2 to 3 videos, I'll show you why I believe that. I hope you found this to be encouraging. I hope you found this to be a blessing. See you tomorrow.